How you doing, YouTube? Matt with Massive Beer Reviews. Back with yet another review. Yeah. A little bit of Montreal-based, born, I should say, not born or based. Both will work. Barrel-aged Scotch Ale on today's Massive Beer Review. With some St-Ambroise Barrel Collection Barrique Scotch Ale. Barrel-aged. Extra strong beer. Yeah, super excited to give it a whirl. I don't know if I've actually had anything from St-Ambroise before. I've been to Canada. I was going to say Canada, because I love calling it that. Canada a couple times. Pretty sure I have. But this is the first one I'm definitely reviewing. This one comes courtesy of Jacob. Thank you very much. Jacob, he sent me off a nice little bomb of beers the other day. And this is the last one I'm getting to. It took me a long time. I'm in the summer months. I'm trying to drop some LBs. I'm not drinking as much. So this one's been sitting for a bit. So yeah. Been chomping at the bit as far as what it actually says on this bottle. It says a Barrel Collection Barrique. It says here, barrel-aged extra strong Scotch Ale. St-Ambroise, 10.2% alcohol by volume. On the back here we have the English version of their little diatribe here. We have our barrel-aged Scotch Ale is a big, bold Scotch Ale that is full of wonderful pale and caramel malts that give the initial flavors. These flavors are then carefully aged in barrels for weeks to enhance richness and caramel flavor and develop more notes of vanilla, dark fruit, and bourbon. The dark mahogany color, coupled with the rich body, make our barrel-aged Scotch Ale a beer to be enjoyed. Salente more. Ingredients: pale malt, crystal malts, careful malt, smoke malts, and hops. That be that. It's very kind of Omegang-y for me as far as label. This kind of checkered, kind of plaid pattern up here, this Highland plaid pattern reminds me, in the Lion, reminds me very much of Omegang. Not necessarily down here, but love the bottle shape. I mean, it's one of the more sexier bottle shapes you can ever put beer into. Your old champagne with nice, indent in the bottom there. So, bottle shape, top notch. Label, okay. A little bit of hints of Omegang going on, but such is life. So, let's see if we can get this sucker open. Tips, kids. When you undo cork and cages, push down on the cork. I can't tell you how many times I should have lost an eye to a cork. Let's put it that way. So, anyway. Give this a good little pour here. Man, that sounded fucking good. Like, that was like a commercial pour of beer as far as how that sounded. It was fucking beautiful. Yeah, a little bit of gravity-defying creaminess, but it's receding pretty quickly. It's like a weird mixture of creamy and rockiness. Weird, kind of off-white head. It's like somewhere weird khaki, like the light gets to a certain point and completely stops. It's a very bizarre head. I haven't seen many heads like it before as far as like just color. It's like when you look straight down it, you get like white to dark to super dark. So, and color-wise, as far as beer goes, when you're talking about a Scotch ale, that's pretty much what I want my Scotch ales to look like. I mean, rich, deep mahogany with a little bit of brown going on. It looks like it might be a bit murky, but relatively clear. I usually like a little bit of murk in my Scotch ales, but, beggars can't be choosers. Let's see if we can get a nose on her. Ooh, it smells a little funky, actually. It smells corked. Could be corked. There's I don't actually know if it's a bacteria. A bacteria or some kind of yeasty funkiness that lives in corks. And it's predominantly a wine thing, but it happens with beer too. If you have that in your cork and there's no way to know until you actually touches the beer, touches the spirit, or touches the wine, it'll infect it. I like it. I actually like the taste of it. It doesn't bother me. I've had so many old beers, I kind of trained myself to dig it. But it smells a bit corked. So I'm getting I'm getting old. I'm getting funky. Is there a date on this? 16? I think it said, 2016. So it's not super old. This being June 2017. Bit of funkiness. A bit of soft kind of, almost like a liqueured cranberry. That's what I'm getting. Like a liquored red dark fruitiness with a little bit of tartness. And that's it. I mean, you tell me to smell this and say, what beer is this? I honestly don't think I'd come up with a Scotch ale. I'd probably come up with a Belgian. I'd just go generic Belgian dark. It comes off like a Belgian dark, without a ton of Belgian candied sugar, but with those cherries kind of going a little bit tart. That's the kind of vibe I'm getting on it. So yeah. She looks good. She smells actually kind of tasty, but in a way that is totally not a wee heavy Scotch ale. Gonna find out. Cheers. That's weird. Wow. Yeah, that's weird. I get the bourbon. I do. I get the bourbon barrel. I'm getting caramel. Getting a little bit of sweet cherries. But telling me this started off as a Scotch ale, I don't get it. It's like a bourbon barrel aged beer to guard, almost. You know what I mean? Or a bourbon barrel aged non-soured creek, or a Belgian double with cherries and then bourbon barrel aged. To go even Scotch ale on this is very weird. It's got a really kind of like champagne-like carbonation on it. Almost just south of prickly kind of carbonation. Thin. It's giving me mostly caramel, rich, deep, dark, kind of caramelized brown sugars and caramel. And then that bourbon. Yeah, it's a weird one. It's not bad. It's just I'm trying to battle back and forth with how the beer actually tastes versus what kind of beer it's supposed to be. So yeah, this is one that I would have loved. I would have loved to try blind, because preconceived notion makes you lean a couple different ways. Now, here's the thing. Usually if you know what a beer is going to be, I think you lean a little bit more towards what the beer's going to be, as opposed to go the other direction. So take that for what it's worth. But, yeah. Thin. Almost champagne-like prickly carbonation. Cherries abound. Both in like the bourbon and in the beer itself, it seems like. That's why I'm getting those Belgian vibes on there. It's like a weaker Scotch wee heavy ale with Belgian yeast and maybe a touch of Belgian candied sugar. It's all over the place. I could sit here and probably change my mind like 13 times. I'm not going to do that. And just talk about the basics. It's sweet. It's thin. It doesn't taste like a Scotch ale. It's not smoky at all. I'm getting the bourbon. I'm getting the sweetness, but I'm getting a weird kind of zing and a little bit of tang. Like I said, almost like a sourness, but not a sour beer, kind of like a tartness from like a cranberry tartness that I talked about earlier. It's fun. It's just interesting. It's just not a wee heavy Scotch ale. And is that a bad thing? No, but that's what you think it is based off the bottle. Take that for what it's worth. But yeah, is it sideways? I don't think so. I mean, you're talking about it has to be at least 6 months old, if not older. It would have turned, and the carbonation's pretty on point. So I think it's just a weird beer that was put in a bourbon barrel, and they called it a Scotch ale. There you go. So let's talk about it. Is it one of the better barrel-aged Scotch ales I've had as of late? NA. I'm going to go big and not available on that one because that's not what it is. Is it one of the more interesting barrel-aged beers I've had as of late? No. Is it a fun barrel-aged beer? Yeah, I think it is. I think if you keep an open mind, you don't know what it is, it's kind of a fun beer. It just going into it and thinking one thing and getting another kind of throws you off a little bit. Value and availability, no idea. It was sent to me. Thank you very much, Jacob. Fucking sent it to me. It's a fun fucking beer. It's probably one of the funner beers he sent me. There's ones that I loved more, but this one kind of I'm going to sit on this one and think for a bit, so that's kind of cool. And just say if you like what will you like this. If you like Belgians and like barrel-aged Belgians, but you like cherried Belgians, and you like non-soured creeks and bourbon barrels, and you like the taste what a wee heavy tastes like without being a wee heavy in a bourbon barrel. You like this. If you like interesting beer, because that's where this lands for me. It's just interesting. I wouldn't have called it a Scotch ale. I'd just call it a beer de garde is what I would have called it. And just kind of let it just kind of fly out there and let people talk about it. Because, yeah, it's not a Scotch ale. But it's still fun. It's kind of tasty. So there you go. Another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. If you didn't, anywhere in between, please leave a comment in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Untapped, Massive Beers, all four of those places. And yeah, another read down. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully enjoying a nice mystery beer right now. And hopefully see you next time. Cheers.